Hey, this is Josh from X1, and today I've got Stephen Ashby with me.
Hey.
And you've been out around the world to play Star Wars Battlefront.
I have. I jetted off to the sunny shores of Sweden.
Okay.
And yeah, I played a bit of Star Wars Battlefront, and it was pretty damn good.
Pretty damn good. Well, that's what we like to hear. So I guess the big question on sort of everyone's mind, I guess, heading into the beta later this week is A, is it any good? And you say yes.
Yeah.
And B, is it just Battlefield reskinned? Because I think that was sort of the Warriors DICE, obviously known for this Battlefield franchise, and Star Wars Battlefront has always been quite different to that. So what should we expect here? Is it Battlefield 4 with Stormtroopers and Jedis in it, or is it something a bit different to that?
Well, it definitely feels familiar. If you've played Battlefront before, you will feel at home.
Okay.
But as in you'll sort of recognise some of the mechanics and that sort of thing, but it's still very much a separate game. It feels like they've taken the Battlefield engine,
Yep.
and then twisted it and shaped it a lot to fit with the Star Wars universe. Added a lot of things, taken away a lot of things, and yeah, it feels familiar but different, and not in a bad way.
Okay.
Just in a sort of a more unique way than you're used to.
Now, I remember from the old Battlefront games, which were obviously by a different developer entirely, it's been about 10 years since we've had a Battlefront game, so it is a while, but I seem to recall them being very fast, very furious. It wasn't really about precision aiming down sights, it was more about running and gunning and just sort of getting as many kills as possible. It doesn't really matter if you die. I mean, how does that translate over here?
Yeah, it's fairly similar, especially in terms of running and gunning and accuracy being less important, because quite a lot of the game is played sort of shooting from the hip. You're not really meant to shoot down, aim down the sights. It is an option, because most of the guns have sort of long distance sights on it.
Yeah.
But they are mostly designed to be fired from the hip, and they're very accurate fired from the hip, because that's what the Stormtroopers did in Star Wars. Traditionally, pretty awful shots, admittedly, but you never saw them raising the rifles up to their eyes and shooting from right down the barrel. So that's kind of what they've gone for here, and especially in third-person mode. I think that for really competitive players, you're going to be seeing people play in first-person, but it's nice to see the third-person option. We did it briefly, and yeah, it feels pretty standard.
Pretty alright?
Yeah, I mean, I probably personally will stick with first person as well, but it's nice to have the option.
So when you play as a hero character,
Yes.
does that drag you into third person automatically?
Yeah, you have no option there. So when you're a hero, you're automatically in third person, and yeah, it's kind of a different thing where you can't really shoot. They don't. Well, the heroes we played were Luke and Darth Vader.
Okay.
And they don't have guns; they have lightsabers. So you're kind of throwing your lightsaber using force pushes and force chokes and stuff like that. So yeah, first person mode would have been a bit weird for that, I think. And also you wouldn't be able to see your character, which would be a shame, I guess.
Yeah, totally.
So yeah, that was a third person only experience, but that worked out quite nicely as well.
Okay, so you've actually played sort of 3 different modes of the few that were in the game. So you've played Drop Zone, Survival, Walker, Assault. I think Drop Zone is probably the one people are most interested in going into this, because it's sort of something brand new, whereas the others have been on display at public events such as EGX and what have you.
Yeah, well, we got an early look at the beta that's starting in a few days' time.
Yep.
So the survival mode on Tatooine has already been out in various locations. People have been playing that, as has the Walker Assault on Hoth. But we played Drop Zone, and it was on Sullust, which is the new map the new planet that they've designed from scratch.
Okay.
And it's kind of very volcanic and very. It's based on Iceland, and I actually was lucky enough to go there last year. And it is
a brag.
Well, it was a brag, but it is a beautiful country, and it is really amazing how they've recreated it in the game. Obviously, it is a volcanic. It's sort of Iceland turned up to 15.
Okay.
And there's sort of all kinds of stuff going on, and explosions, and lava flowing and bubbling geysers and stuff. But it's really cool and really well done, and it looks amazing. Drop Zone itself, very fun mode, but lasts a little bit. The one criticism I have with it is that the spawn distance is so far away. You spawn like 100 meters from the objective.
Okay.
And that results in a very long sprint. of about 20 seconds, 30 seconds. You get to the action, you maybe kill 1 or 2 players, then you get killed, and then you've got another 100-meter sprint again. So that was a little bit frustrating, but again, it's the beta, so that's something that they can sort of twist and change. You know, they can change that up before the final release, and I kind of hope they do, because I want to be more in the action and not running.
Yeah.
But yeah, the drop mode itself is basically something drops out of the sky, an escape pod, and you want to claim it for your team. The other team are also trying to claim it, and there's sort of a battle over a temporary little location, and then once one team's claimed it, another one will drop down and you'll do it again. So it's very action packed, very focused, loads of massive firefight going on around the escape pods, which is cool. Yeah, it's just a shame you have to run so far to get to the action.
Yeah, that is a shame, because I guess one of the coolest things about Star Wars, except in the films, they always showed you like the intense bits of action, but never really anything around it. So
Yeah.
I guess they need to try and make sure they capture as much of that in the game as possible, right?
Yeah, I think it's just a case that they just need to shift the spawn points a little bit closer. I wouldn't mind running for 10 seconds, but it's when you die and you're just like, oh, for God's sake, I've got to run literally 100 meters. I'd be knackered by the time I got there if I did that in real life. I wouldn't want to shoot anything. I'd die straight away. I'd just be like, give me a second.
Give me a second, guys. No, Darth Vader, stay back there.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I can see why he's got his breathing apparatus on. Let's put it that way.
Good shout. Right, I mean, I guess last question on my mind is how Star Warsy is it? Because you watch the trailers and you hear those like TIE fighters swinging in, or like the sound of the walkers crunching through the snow on Hoth, and it's just like, oh shit, here we go. Like, this is the game I've been waiting for God knows how long, right?
It absolutely nails the feeling of being in Star Wars. That is one thing that I came away from the beta absolutely loving about the game.
Yep.
Especially, more than anything, in the sound design, which is just outstanding. So the music, they've obviously used some stuff from John Williams' original score.
Yep.
But they've also designed their own. The sound team have been out into like random forests, and they've been to Iceland, and they've been to all over the world recording these incredible sounds for everything from guns to the wind moving through trees. And yeah, it sounds amazing, and the lasers flying past your head and everything it just brings you right into the Star Wars universe, and it makes you feel like you're literally in the film. And it's one thing that is, for any Star Wars fan, is going to be outstanding.
Awesome. So Star Wars Battlefront's out a little bit later this year, but the beta is kickstarting this week.
Yep, it's out on the 8th.
Worth downloading?
I would say definitely worth downloading. It's an open beta, so anybody can jump in, even if you just want to try it out. But I very strongly suggest you give it a go.
Awesome. Well, cheers for listening, guys. For more videos in the future, be sure to hit subscribe and like the video for more.